And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm host Benjamin Lee. Please join me and my guests on this exclusive interview. Now, Telegram, the messaging platform known for its minimal content moderation, has found itself at the center of a debate following reports that its founder, Pavel Durov, was arrested in France. The platform, with over 900 million users, is widely used across the world for communication and access to independent news. However, its light touch approach to content oversight has also made it a hub for disinformation and extremist content, raising questions about the balance between free speech and regulation. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss the implications of Durov's arrest is Romain, Managing Director of Eurocreative. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Now, this is a very contentious topic we're looking at here, and of course, both sides have very valid arguments of why they think Durov should be arrested and should not be arrested. What's your take on the situation right now?
Well, again, it's a very important debate, and I think that your documentary just before this interview showed it quite well. You have people against, you have people in favor. This kind of polarization is not new, and I think that overall, freedom of speech in the new context of geopolitics of disinformation is and will remain one of the biggest fight and biggest question we have collectively for our societies in the 21st century. That being said, I think that President Macron said and declared clearly that it was not a political arrest, and that Mr. Durov was not arrested because of freedom of speech or because Telegram was not ensuring basically the continuity of this. Pavel Durov was arrested because and taken into custody. We don't know if he will be finally arrested or not, but because of clear charges against him, 12, and you mentioned them, and most of them are linked with very specific modalities. And again, it is not a political fight today. It is not a political arrest. It is about judicial investigation. And three types of charges are retained about him. The first one as a CEO of Telegram, because again, the official investigation opened in July was against X, as we call it in France. So it's about a non-personal identity, the company, which is Telegram. And Telegram was seen as a company that was complicit in several problems. The first is about pornography. The second is about fraud. The third is about drug trafficking. The second issue viewed by French prosecutors and authorities is about the non-compliance of its encryption modalities and usage. And the final one is the refusal of Telegram to basically share information and to cooperate with French authorities when it comes to sensitive topics such as counterterrorism or things like this. So again, first, Telegram has been accused of this, and Pavel Durov, as the CEO of Telegram, was arrested because he's the responsible personality, legally speaking, of the company.
Right, like you mentioned, it is very important to actually have this debate. The fact that we're talking about it in and of itself, I think, is very important in the society of kind of balancing this disinformation running rampant and the amount of freedom of speech. Now, going into some of the points that you brought up, which Telegram is supposedly responsible for being complicit in the spread of pornography, the spread of drug trafficking. One of the most prevailing argument against his detention for this complicity is to where do we draw the line when it comes to how one is categorized as complicit. Say someone uses the internet to facilitate the spread of pornography and drug trafficking, would then the person responsible for establishing the internet himself be responsible and be held accountable in the same way that Pavel Durov would?
Yeah, so basically the thing is we have to mention first that this is an investigation which is made according to the French law. And according to the French law, when you have a company that is operating in a country, you, as the CEO, as the legal responsible, you are responsible basically for what your company is doing, how it's replying to moderation, how it's replying to content sharing. One thing is to say that, and the second thing is to see what the judicial power and judicial authorities in France will decide, because it's not clear. He has been arrested on suspicions of being complicit, of not responding to the compliance regarding encryption, and to non-cooperation of Telegram with the French authorities. These are investigated at the moment, and we don't know if it will lead to further investigations in case that Mr. Durov is by the prosecutors accused or charged with one or several of these accusations, or if Mr. Durov tomorrow will be basically set free. So this is an ongoing investigation, and as of now, we really don't know what the French judicial authorities will decide. What we know is that it will be a very interesting case, because basically the decision of the French national authorities will basically draw a precedent, a judicial precedent. And if Mr. Durov is accused and charged of these crimes, then it will lead to potentially I'm saying, because again, this is about French authorities today, potentially lead to a new world, basically, when it comes to the regulation of social media platforms in the West. Or if Mr. Durov is set free, it will show that social media platforms have quite a room of maneuver when it comes to operations in European Union countries, at least.
Right, you brought up a very good point about this being, precedent setting when it comes to regulation of social media. And a lot of people are worried about this being the slippery slope that might eventually result in more crackdown on social media and how they are able to maneuver. Even though maybe seeing it as an individual case, we can make the argument that it is operating within French laws. Do you think that there is a validity to be worried about the procedure, or do you think that it's still operating within the legal framework and maybe people are just overreacting?
I think it's always good to worry about things like freedom of speech, and I think it's a sensitive debate which needs to be be done in our societies. And freedom of speech is so important that it's great that we are collectively talking about this. But as of now, this arrest has been made according to the French authorities, according to the French criminal code, and we will see if there is further prosecution, if there is further consequences for Telegram and for Mr. Durov. I don't think that for now it is important, it is necessary to say that it's an attack of the freedom of speech, because it is not right now. And the French authorities have, the liberty to proceed with investigations, and we need to respect the freedom of speech, of course, but we need also to respect the independence of justice, and it is the case right now. What I need to say also is that this arrest has been made in France, and in France the talk about regulation on social media platform is an important debate in our society for several reasons. The first one is it's because it's a political topic at home in France, given the recent developments. And here I need to mention, for example, the riots last year in 2023, when politicians accused, rightly so, some social media platform to incitate the riots, to propagate rumors, to basically facilitate the use of violence in our cities a year ago. It's also a legislative topic right now, and not only in Paris but also in Brussels. And we know that France has been extremely active, especially to French Commissioner Thierry Breton on the making and on the implementation of the Digital Services Act. And here it's not only about Telegram, as we know, but it's a large debate between European authorities, including the French ones, politicians, and the CEOs, let's say, of this social media platform, and not only Mr. Durov but also Mr. Musk. And finally, it's also about the geopolitical topic, which has consequences in France. And I want to remind you that the recent events in New Caledonia. The violence in New Caledonia also put a light onto the action and operations in our territory, in French territory, of social media platform, including
Right. So there is
TikTok,
a very much
a
an incentive there for the French to kind of be more vigilant when it comes to the type of information on social media. Thank you so much for helping us understand this situation and, well, come to our own conclusions. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for being with us on TVP World. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
And thank you for watching this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. But for more news update and commentary, please stay tuned.